child longs for a dad, but what happens when that longing is met with silence? Fatherlessness is one of the main crises in our country right now, including in the foster care system.
In this episode, we will be sitting down with the CEO of ManUp, and we're going to be talking about why a father's presence matters, how fatherlessness impacts the kids in foster care and in life, and what we can do to step into the gap. Let's get into this episode. Welcome to Unprofessional Parenting. We're your hosts, Matt and Lainey.
I'm Lainey, a licensed clinical social worker with over a decade of experience working in child welfare.
And I'm Matt, with more than 10 years working in church ministry. And together, we're foster and adoptive parents who know firsthand that parenting is anything but perfect.
We're here to laugh, learn, and share the real side of raising foster and adoptive kids. Parenting isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up even when you feel completely unprofessional at it.
So let's get into today's conversation.
All right, so we are here with Mr. Jeff Ford from ManUp. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. How are you feeling?
I feel great. Yeah?
Yeah?
I feel perfect.
Good. You feel perfect?
I feel perfect.
That's
Now that I'm here with you.
Good.
Nothing better than you right now. That's good.
Great.
I love your set.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's very inviting.
Thank you. Like
Yep.
a little familial, so to speak.
You worked hard for that. The plants, the greenery.
I think it's the greenery. It makes me feel earthy.
Yeah.
Good. You feel grounded,
Grounded.
ready to go?
Great word.
Good.
Grounded. Perfect. Love it.
Good. Well, on that note, tell us a little bit. Let's just start off the basics. Tell us a little bit about your organization, ManUp, to kind of give the people an idea of what you do and what your organization is about.
And who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Jeff Ford, I'm married for 24 years. Let me start there.
Love that.
So very soon it's going to be 25, and I feel like we're going to do something special.
It's a quarter of a century.
Feels like we should do something special.
I think you should.
Yeah.
That's step one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that.
So we'll do that. 2 kiddos, Asher's 12, Jolie's 10,
Mm-hmm.
both adopted, and love them to death. And where do we get to the part where we talk about how we're struggling to parent?
Is that part?
Well, we can
No,
talk
no.
about it if that's what you're wanting to do.
How old are they again?
12, Asher's 12, Jolie's 10.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. We'll just wait till Julie gets a little older.
I know. I feel like
You'll have some fun with that.
10 is fun.
Yeah.
That teenagers
For sure.
Or even funner.
are even more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
The respect in my house is just at all-time high all the time. It's great.
Oh, well, maybe we'll have to circle back to this.
Yeah.
Because, there's some, this could be a therapy session.
It'll turn into that pretty quickly. Yeah. We're mostly just sharing.
Trauma bond.
Yeah,
together.
exactly. Oh my gosh.
But anyways,
Anyway.
tell us about ManUp.
Yeah.
Please do.
So I run an organization called ManUp, as you guys know, and ManUp was kind of unofficially formed in 2010, 11. It was a bunch of dudes who wanted to do something about the orphan crisis in the world. And so they naively, I think, decided to take this trip to Africa, and they filmed it all, and it became a documentary. And that's kind of how it started.
Mhm.
And it has definitely evolved since then. We formed the organization actually in 2014. I got involved in 2012. And it was the idea of men manning up, stepping up into this space where kids are growing up without dads.
Mhm.
Kids
Yeah.
are growing up fatherless.
Yeah.
And so that was really the impetus for the organization. But we always felt this connection to, like, why are their kids growing up without dad? Well, it's because dad has abdicated responsibility.
Yeah.
So that for us was so people would often ask us, well, is ManUp about kids or is ManUp about men? We're like, yes. Because you can't, they're inseparable in this fight. And so we formed the organization in 2014. I came on as like a part-time guy in 2015, came on full-time in 2016. We brought on our second employee in 2018. At that time is where I feel like we really started to address the issues, because originally we were just kind of taking people to Africa, exploring the problem, showing what was going on. We did a child sponsorship program overseas. But then we developed this program called AMP. And AMP stands for Authentic Masculinity Program. And that is where we really tried to get upstream of the issue. So we always talked about it, how I always referred to it is like you got bodies floating down the river, right? And you're pulling them out. But at some point, are you going upriver to find out how are they
Like,
getting in
what's
that
going
river?
on?
Yeah, in the
Right.
first place. And for us, like the downstream is kids don't have a dad, and so we've got to do orphanage. We have to have schools. We have to have foster care. We have to have all these things because dad is not present. Well, the upstream is where is dad in the process?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because some people will talk about like, hey, we need to get upstream of the problem, and so we got to invest in kids, which is true, but that's only part of the equation because it's like, who is investing in the
In
kids?
kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't that person matter?
For sure.
Right. Otherwise, you have like the government doing it, or there's all sorts of people that could invest in those kids. So for us, it's like, no, nuclear family, dad present at the home. So that program launched in 2018. Since then, we've seen over 1,000 men go through this year-long discipleship program.
That's awesome.
I was like, of all the stuff that ManUp has had the opportunity to do, it's probably the coolest because you see guys who are totally laying down what culture has told them manhood is and embracing a biblical model and mindset.
Love that.
So that's kind of the impetus of everything that we do. COVID kind of shut us down internationally, shut everybody down. Right. So we had to pivot and come stateside. But man, God has been so gracious. I think since 2022, we went from 4 people on staff to now we just hired our 28th.
Wow.
And we were just at the DCF summit last week speaking on fatherhood, and it was so well received. Everywhere we went, our guys had a ManUp shirts on. They're like, wait a second, do you do that in our county? Do you do that in our circuit?
Wow.
That's so cool.
It's just neat to see what God has done. So now we run primarily 3 programs locally, and we're in other parts of not just Florida, but an adoptive family program, which is wraparound support services for foster families. So many people in Tampa Bay area would know us from that. We work with youth and young men who have been impacted by the foster care system. So either they're in the foster care system in a group home setting, or they have recently aged out. And so that is like the 12 to 17 and then the 18 to 24 demographic. And then fathers. So fathers who have either lost their kids to the system of care and are trying to get them back, or those dads who are at risk of losing them. And so in a preservation model, we're trying to get again upstream and, hey, you're struggling. Things are tight, things are close. How can we equip you so that doesn't happen?
Wow, that's awesome. So you personally, let's talk about you personally. You said you joined in 12? You said
2012.
Joined the team 2012. Why did you want to get involved personally? Like why? What does that look like for you?
So 2010, I was attending Calvary Church in Clearwater, Florida.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
I'm just kidding.
They were Calvary Baptist Church.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
That's probably why you haven't heard of it.
Yep.
So a guy by the name of Jerry Haig came and spoke.
Yeah.
Jerry Haig is the president at One More Child, for those who don't know. And he spoke on adoption. And my wife and I did not have kids at the time. We had never talked about adoption. That was never in the card, so to speak. And I was like, felt like he was talking to me.
And you had never talked about it with your wife
never
before?
talked about adoption.
Wow.
Ever. And so sermon's over. They're doing a interest meeting afterwards. I look at my wife and I go, hey, should we go to this? I know this sounds weird. Should we go to this? She's like, I was going to ask you this.
Wow, that's wild.
So when you hear those stories, you're like, man,
Yeah.
this is working.
Yep.
We went, and in that meeting were Jason, Janet Clement, the Heinrichs, and
All our name dropping all of our friends.
Yeah.
For all the people right now.
Anyway, it was people that became really good friends of ours, and they were adopting through Ethiopia. And when you adopt internationally, there's a bunch of questions they ask. So people say, how did you decide Ethiopia? They kind of choose it for you. When I mean they, I mean different programs and countries have different requirements. So like you have to be a certain age, you have to make a certain amount of income, you have to be married for a certain amount of time. That's how they kind of filter you out. And I think we maybe had like 2 countries left. Once we filtered it all down, our friends were adopting from Ethiopia. And so we decided, why don't we do that together? So for me, that was in 2010. In 2012, we were adopting locally at that time, and the adoption fell through. And so I was depressed about it. And my wife's like, well, why don't you go on this trip? Because someone, Jason Clement, had offered me to go on this mission trip. And I'd never been on a mission trip before. And he's like, it's with this group called ManUp. I'm like, Okay, sounds cool.
All right.
And so went to Africa, went to Ethiopia, went to Uganda my first time overseas. We were already adopting from Ethiopia, so I had that vested interest. But I just remember falling in love with just the culture, the people. But I also loved the men who were there on this trip because it was a ManUp trip.
Yeah.
Now, they weren't an organization or anything. They
Sure.
called themselves ManUp.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, oh, these guys, like, they're passionate about Jesus. They're passionate about like life. They want to live the abundant life of John 10:10, and they're here to help kids. I'm like, these are my guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to run. I wanted to do life. I could just tell right away, like, these are guys I want to be around and hang around. And so that's how I got involved.
So you got involved, stepped into the game, the ManUp game, if you will, at that point, and then you just blossomed into more and more opportunities, more doors open in the organization, or
Yeah, so we started doing men's conferences over there in Africa, and we'd have like 1,000 men show up.
Yeah.
it's crazy.
And it was wild. And I remember one of the things, I tell this story a lot, but it was impactful to me. And as far as like a core memory, one of the pastors was like, oh, we love it when the ManUp team comes over. Usually you Americans send your women to do your work for you.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, dagger.
Yeah.
And because I was trying to figure out why did they like the ManUp team coming? And I don't think it had much to do with anything except for gender. I literally think because we were dudes, they were used to females coming over. They're used to females taking care of children.
Yeah.
So the concept of men caring for children was so foreign to them that we stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Right. And so for them, they were, so when we did men's conferences, they just kind of came and flocked and wanted to hear what these Mzungus had to say. What does that mean? Usually translate
White people.
white people.
Yeah.
I figured. Yeah, it usually means foreigner, but since foreigners are usually white.
Yes, correct.
So anyway, that's how I got involved. And then in 2014, we're flying back. I again sitting with my buddy Jason. We're talking about all that God has done, and we've been back. It was 4 years in a row now going to Africa, and there's no 501c3 here. There's no nothing. And like, man, do we need to like do more?
Do something.
And so we decided to do that. At that time, my wife and I owned a online business called addictedtosaving.com. This is back in the couponing days where everybody was couponing.
Extreme couponers.
Yep. And my wife was invited to go on Extreme Couponers, turned it down.
No, what?
Hey, that's a separate podcast.
That's a separate podcast. But yeah, she was invited to go on. She's like, I'm not going to be associated with this crazy couponing world. So anyway, she didn't go on. But at that time, Facebook changed their algorithm. And I remember we went from like, she had 130,000 Facebook fans. So we would see 25 to 40,000 people would see a post.
Yeah.
And we were posting.
I didn't know this part of your.
Really?
That's insane.
Oh yeah. We had we had 7 people working for us. We were making really good money. It was all around couponing.
Yeah. Jeff was like a billionaire because he gave out coupons to people, right?
Right. Carried away. But
I love that.
But we were doing great. It's funny because we'd be shopping in Publix. This happened weekly. And someone would be like,
No
addicted
way.
to saving?
No way.
Yes, because they knew my wife. My wife was on so many television shows here locally. Like, she was on daytime. She had like a weekly segment, and she's talking about coupons. We were down there all the time. And if you know my wife, she is not. That's not her at all. But yeah,
I love that. I love that.
I'm so sorry. We just side.
All right. Yeah.
Let's go on. So addicted to couponing. I pulled us off track.
Yeah.
So you're sitting with.
So anyway, long story short, they changed the algorithm. So we went from like 40,000 people seeing, I remember it, to 187. The first post the next day once they changed the algorithm.
Wow.
And so we got to a point just over several months where it was like, shoot, like maybe I should look at finding some other work. Yeah. This is not going to like continue forever. And so anyhow, that's how I got into ManUp. Wow.
So I want to kind of like rewind to a part where you were talking about how culture sees masculinity in some way, and especially the shock that these Ugandan men or these Ethiopian men had to American men leading and doing something and investing in children. So talk a little bit. I can only imagine with what you do in focusing on men in this hyper feminist culture that we live in. where women are touted as being very strong and being leaders, and women do take over leadership a lot. What is the pushback? I'm sure you see pushback of like this toxic masculinity. Oh, man up must be toxic, and what you're promoting must be toxic because you're promoting men, and anything that promotes men is seen as toxic in our culture. So what is the difference there? Obviously, you're not talking about toxic masculinity when you're asking men to step up. So what's the difference there? What are you talking about?
It's funny. It's making me think about this skit we did for the DCF Summit. We were kind of doing a staffing. So it was a mock staffing. And for those who don't know what a staffing is, a staffing would be where, a caseworker and a father or a mother who had lost their kids are trying to get their kids back. And so they're going over the case plan. There's people, there might be a judge, there might be an attorney, there might be a therapist, whatever. And we had the therapist, when Man Up came on, she's like, man up? More like man down. So no. Which was like, so funny, because that is the impression that our foster care system has of men,
Of fathers. Yeah.
hand down, because we're not around, and typically we haven't been. But in specific answer to your question, yeah, we do get pushback. I remember we were doing Ragbri one year. Ragbri is a bike across Iowa. We do it as a fundraiser and kind of awareness piece. And this lady, we're pulled over on the side of the road in the shade. This lady pulls up. There's like 30,000 bikers. So you see people, it's 7 days. You see people, you bike across the whole state. And this lady, she's like, okay, I've seen this the last couple of days. What is Man Up?
You like disgust in her voice.
She was like, you must be. And so I'm like, okay, so good start to the conversation.
Thank you for asking.
But I just explained, hey, we're a group of men who wants to embrace a healthy view of masculinity. We think that there's toxic versions out there, and we need men who are, acting as servant leaders. They're loving their children. They're loving their wives. And in doing that, like we can end fatherlessness in the world. And her friend looks at her and is like, that's what you need. You need Man Up. And like, I don't know what this woman's story was, but by the end of it, she's like, all right, I guess you guys are okay. In my mind, she's been scarred by a dude who did not act in healthy masculinity, who was toxic, right? And so that idea that masculinity, if we use the word masculinity, that it equals toxic, that's the misconception out there.
Yeah.
That is not, the two don't have to be the same. There can be healthy and there can be toxic. And we're fully aware of what that is. This may be controversial. I don't know. I'd love to get your take on this.
We love controversial takes here.
This is hot take. Can you give me your hot take on this? It's great. Well, I put a lot of thought into this. Okay. Right. If you destroy my hot take, that's okay.
Let's hear it.
I put a lot of thought into it.
It's all right.
So you mentioned like women can be strong. And I think all of us, like anybody who has a brain would think the same, right? Women have done, in some estimations, way more than men to overcome obstacles. Women bear children, so it's not like they can't tolerate pain. You have single motherhood all over the place who are doing the jobs way better than a lot of single dads. First of all, not all single dads. Sure, single moms. 80% of single parent households are single moms. Yeah, think like women.
That's a shocking statistic.
I know.
Yeah, and
it's like it's so clear that women can be strong. So when the Bible says, like in 1 Peter 3:7, that he says, like, love your woman, essentially, love your spouses, love your wives, and honor them as the weaker vessel. So this is like the feminists, hardcore feminists are gonna look at that and be like, see,
this is all about toxic
masculinity right there. Well, if you have, again, like two like intelligent thoughts in you, you would go, no, it can't mean that they're weaker in really any way, because I've seen women exhibit strength on multiple fronts. So my take on the whole thing is that when he's saying the weaker vessel, he's literally talking about physical strength. I think the weakness is just he's just pointing out a biological fact.
Okay.
A biological fact. Most women are physically weaker based on their genetic code. So if you needed to pick somebody up and drag them across the field or whatever because they was hurt, like it would be a lot easier in general. Now there's exceptions to everything.
Of course. We're talking about generalities here.
For sure.
But in general, men are going to have a better capacity to do that. So they're just physically stronger. If I equate it to like, nowadays, I don't know who's carrying people across fields these days, but like in my home,
We do that every Saturday.
Yeah.
buddy carry. Yeah. In my home, if something is heavy that needs to be picked up and moved, my wife says, Jeff, can you pick that thing up and move it to the other room?
Same.
Do you do that,
Jeff. Yeah.
Not
No, I say
yeah.
Matt, but
Matt,
like
yeah.
not.
Pick that up,
Yeah.
right? Like I need to. Now, in some cases, you could pick it up. So some cases, that's probably abused. But
But why would I want to?
why would you want to? But in most cases, if my wife has asked me to pick something up, it's because it's literally too heavy for her.
Mm.
So I don't look at that and go, "What's wrong with you?" I look at that and go, "You need some strength over here."
Oh yeah.
Every time I ask for help opening a jar,
Yeah,
I say.
like I
That's what I
do
say.
an entire bicep flex. I'm like,
No, I don't do that. I just say, why do you need my help with this? And then even my kids, they're like, hey, can you help me open this water bottle? I'm like, wait, what? Why do you need my help with that?
I mean,
And they,
because
you're stronger than me. And so I'm like, you're right.
It's just like effortless. And my 10-year-old's like, "How'd you do that, Dad?"
Superhero. You're a superhero.
But I think that to me is when we talk about the differences in like toxic and non-toxic or healthy masculinity, a man living in healthy masculinity properly appropriates his physical strength.
Mm.
And that for me, like flows to all the other areas. And the reason I think this is true is I do this exercise sometimes if I'm doing like a training. If you were to get into a room, in just a normal room, and there's men and women, and let's say it's a function of our conference or something, and there's 100 people in the room, and it's 50-50 men and women roughly. And I'll ask you, Matt, this, if everything was the same in the personalities, so people's personalities didn't change, like they were who they were, whatever. The only thing that changed was that in the room, instead of women being the physically weaker sex, all the men, including you, were the physically weaker sex in that room.
Yeah.
How would that change your opinion of the room?
How would it change my opinion of the room?
Yeah.
Just physically?
Yeah, if you knew that physically,
Gosh, I don't know.
every woman in there could beat you up if she wanted to.
Oh, I would probably assume the role of a weaker person in the room. I'd be looking around and be like, first of all, what's happening? And so these the answers you're looking for from me right now?
Well,
What do you need from me?
I think what the point I'm getting to is that anywhere a man goes, he only has to worry about domination from a physical standpoint from another man.
Right.
He doesn't have to worry about another woman generally. I mean, maybe she's a UFC fighter, okay, but
Never know.
you run into
Never know these days.
you never know. Well, these days you never know.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, women are constantly vigilant about their surroundings.
Mhm.
They are constantly wondering what's going on over here. Where's my outlet? Where's my safety route? How can I get out of this situation?
You feel that?
Yep.
Is that
Like,
okay?
Yeah.
They're hyper vigilant in the
Mhm.
brain because they know at the end of the day, if they're not trained in particular to fend off a physically dominant man, they probably don't have a chance.
And you also, this is where you start seeing women learn mental and social strategies as well, because we are also trying to prevent and be proactive in preventing upsetting a man. And again, generalities here. A lot of women are like middle fingers to the air at this point in our culture. But generally speaking, women, that's why you see women being such people pleasers. That's why you see women being so complacent and so tempered and so like stroking a man's ego and keeping a man calm, because we know if something were to be triggered, we are in danger.
Yeah.
So we're constantly playing this game of like, what does he want? What is going to upset him? I need to make sure that what I'm doing and what I'm saying is not upsetting him so that things stay calm. Because if things are not calm, I lose.
Correct.
Wow.
And let's be honest, the way that you're going to lose is you're going to be physically abused or you're going to be sexually abused.
Mm-hmm.
And those are two vulnerable positions that you're in. And so all of that, I say all that to say, when a man doesn't appropriate his physical strength properly, our culture, like society, our interactions, everything is off. It goes astray because now women are, to your point, like mentally thinking and scheming and like, how do I do this and how do I do that? When you shouldn't have to be doing that. You should be able to just live in your normal, but instead you're thinking of all of these other things because at the end of the day. Now, hopefully most contexts that you're in, you're not putting yourself in that position. I do think that there are some environments that women are risking that when they put themselves in that position, but it doesn't absolve the man of his role.
Mm-hmm.
Never absolves the man of his role to act and treat a lady, kindly. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
So talk to us a little bit about statistics, because I know you've got statistics on fatherlessness, and especially how fatherlessness in our culture impacts foster care and foster kids in the system.
Yeah. Gosh, so many stats.
I mean, we got time.
So let me start with like the stat that I think is pretty overwhelming, which is that the United States, this great country we live in, leads the world in fatherlessness.
Oof.
1 in 4 kids grow up without a dad in the United States. 25 out of 100. Now, compare that to Japan. Japan is atheistic. We're supposedly a Christian nation. The atheists only do it 7 out of 100 times.
Wow.
We do it 25 out of 100 times.
Wow.
What an indictment, man.
Right? Now, our Hindu friends in India, they do it 5 out of 100 times. And our Muslim friends in Turkey do it 2 out of 100 times. Now, I'm not saying they don't have other issues.
Right.
Right?
No, 100%.
There are. But the point is, they at least have the cultural awareness, and some of it's driven by religion, but there's a belief system there, atheistic or otherwise, that the family stays together.
Yeah.
The basic unit of a culture is a family. Now, they may be miserable. That's a whole other.
And I was gonna say, I hear the arguments now of like, well, how healthy is that family if a woman is being forced to stay there, and
1,000%.
all the things.
So there is that. And so, you could say, well, see, but then again, it goes back to what you're talking about earlier about the liberation of women, that women don't need, they can operate independently.
I don't need no man.
I don't need a man.
Mhm.
And now so here's another stat that 50% of children born to women under 30 in the U.S. have no dad in the home.
Whoa.
50%.
50%. 1 out of 2 kids born, if the woman is 30 years or younger, there will not be a present father in the home. So now you think, gosh, we don't value fatherhood.
Yeah.
Well, is it that we don't value fatherhood, or is it that the fathers aren't there?
Yeah, that's what it just starts bringing questions when you say like we don't value fatherhood. My question is, well, who's not valuing fatherhood? Is it the woman? Is it the moms that's saying I don't need you in my life, that are just taking kids and not taking? I don't mean it like kidnapping kids.
Yeah.
But what I mean is they're taking their children and saying, I don't need no man. Is it men who aren't valuing themselves and their roles that they have and the responsibility and duties that they have as a man and a father? Where's
the disconnect?
Yeah, where's the disconnect happening here?
Well, you hear the slippery slope argument about various different things, right? And you see the argument of like, well, if a ship is going from here to there and they're just a little bit off course, it doesn't matter now, but it matters when you get there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. So given enough time, you're going to be off course. And I think if you looked at marriage rates and you looked at fatherless rates in the 1950s, they were exponentially lower. In fact, it was almost non-existent. Now, again, that doesn't mean that all those relationships were healthy.
Sure. Yeah.
So I want to caveat that. But it does mean that dads stay together. When you or parents,
Families,
that's now I'm talking. Yeah,
That's a whole Jeff. You're giving us so many new episodes.
another episode. Sorry, that's a whole other thing. But you have like the feminist movement of the '60s and kind of into that like free love and then the rise of social programs. So like if you go back even further, like the Great New Deal, FDR, like once we had a social safety net in place that was really not dependent on fathers, it became a little easier for women to function. And I think if you go back and we were to ask FDR, like he would say like, yeah, we were doing this for the betterment of women and children.
Yeah.
But what happened is you've made it easier for women to function independently without a man around. And quite frankly, you say, is it the woman or is it the man? honestly, I think a lot of men are like, you want to care for this kid? Go for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Go right ahead.
I don't want it. And like, you're crazy. Like if the relationship doesn't work out, it's like, no, I don't want to be burdened with this kid. You want the kid? Fine. So I do think that men have abdicated. I also think this, though. We have several men, fathers in our program, who the woman, the mom, it was funny because you said take the kid. That is kind of what happens because of basic rights. Like a lot of times men do not have the right based on just natural law. The woman has the kid. So it's kind of like whoever has possession of the thing, they have it. The other person often has to fight to get it.
To get it.
So sometimes, men are just like, you know what? I would love to parent, but you're making it so difficult. It's not worth it. So that does have, we have a lot of dads like that. Some of our dads are literally non-offending. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have a child is born to a couple, mom just takes the kid, dad tries to be involved, doesn't really want, to put up with it. It's kind of a mess. They didn't really like each other anyhow, but they didn't wait for the proper stand. That's another episode.
Sure.
Sex and marriage. But anyway, so now the mom, years later, the dad probably hasn't been involved very much because like, whatever, out of sight, out of mind, but not that he wouldn't take care of his kid.
Right.
It's too hard. It's too difficult. Now the mom offends. By that, I mean, she's on drugs. She has abandoned the kid. The kid is unsafe conditions or whatever. So the state takes that kid away. Well, now the dad, who didn't do anything wrong, except for like, he hasn't been in the kid's life, but he didn't do anything wrong. He comes in, I'll take the child. Now he has to actually go through parenting classes. He has to go through background checks. He has to have a case plan.
Yes.
And you're like, what?
And so you work with some of those dads?
Yep. Yeah, a lot of our dads fall into that.
Yeah, the rightful father to that child.
The rightful father child has to prove that he is worthy of his kid. Like, think about any other like endeavor. There's no way you would allow that to happen in all the other endeavors in your life.
That's
but now
crazy.
The state is stepping in. And so because the reason that has happened is because over the years, men are such unreliable like entities in the whole like child rearing process that you just get a stigma. And then all of a sudden that's how the things work. And just over time, now it just works that way. So again, what started like here, just a little bit off course over a long period of time. And now it's like dads are the enemy.
Wow. Yeah. So can we talk? I know you have some statistics about just kids growing up with a dad in the home, how beneficial it is, how healthy it is for child development and future and things of that nature. Last night I was watching the football game. You had fallen asleep, and while I was watching,
as a Bears fan,
while I was watching the Bears game,
Wait,
go ahead.
Wait, literally last night I asked Matt. I said, "Who on earth is a Bears fan?"
Yeah. We're like,
we're like unicorns, it's like hibernation. Yeah.
Bears fan.
So watching the Bears play the Vikings last night, and as I'm sitting there, I open up my phone, and sometimes I get caught in the doom scrolling of Instagram reels and things of that nature. And for whatever reason, an algorithm popped up, or the algorithm wrote this into what I needed to watch at this late at night. And I'm scrolling through, and it was video after video of fathers, right? Some of them were father's first view of their daughter at their wedding in their dress, and the dad just breaking down, weeping, crying.
Wow.
There's one where a dad dropped his daughter off at college, first time at college, whatever. He's walking back to the car, and the Ring doorbell camera caught her running out for one last hug before he left.
Oh, I've seen that.
There was one where there's a stepdad who was in the audience at his son's graduation and didn't realize that his son had changed his last name, so they called the stepdad's last name. So the mom is filming, and he's just weeping there. And you were sleeping, but for 20 minutes, I'm weeping.
Like your eyes out.
You gotta do it in the bathroom at one point, and I'm just like, but I'm just sitting there, and I'm noticing this trend, and not that moms aren't important, but there's just something about a dad being in the home. Statistically, you have statistics and factual evidence to back up why it's so important that a dad is in a home. Can you talk about that?
So some of them are like, there's kind of like the positive side and negative side. So like, but when we prevent things from happening, it is a positive thing. But so those are easier to kind of rattle off. But behavior disorders, scholastic achievement, incarceration rates, pregnancy rates, there's others that I missed, suicide rates, all of those. And these are Health and Human Services, right? This is not some right-wing like conspiracy. If you look at the Department of Health, they will tell you that if dad is in the home, all of those rates are lower, for all of those constituencies. It's to the point now where if there is a negative statistic about a child, like I'll immediately ask, well, was dad in the home? Like if in other words, if a child has a negative behavior, I'll immediately think, well, was dad in the home? Because I know that it's no longer just a correlation, like there is a direct cause. And so
a direct cause between what?
Between a fatherless environment and a negative behavior, such as a mental health disorder or propensity to be in jail. I mean, if you go to our jails, 85% of the inmates did not have a father, right? I think it's 63% of kids who commit suicide did not have a father. Runaways, 70% of kids who run away from their home, there was no dad in the home.
Wow.
So like all of these stats point to the fact of, well, dad must have some kind of like importance. Now, there's some other stats that are showing, like, for instance, if a dad reads to a child, that child's development, brain development, actually is better than if mom reads.
Get out.
And this doesn't seem fair. And I'm like,
that's great news for me. Read away.
Read away, Matt. All the dads are like,
oh my God. I got reading together my 15-year-old daughter tonight. Hey, we're going to read a story.
So they just studied, and they measured 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds. They had a group of dads that read, a group of moms that read. What they found was moms will typically ask questions around like cognitive, like understanding of the story. So who was in the story? Where did they go? That kind of thing. Dads will oftentimes make noises, like funny noises, to accompany the story. Like goofy dad,
they're entertaining.
Goofy dads.
Yes, exactly.
They will often like relate the story. So if like the story is about a girl going swimming, they'll be like, oh, I remember when I was learning to swim, and they'll give like commentary more on that. And so what they cause the child to do, the child has to actually think more about the questions dad's asking, because mom is asking a question that's like black and white, like what happened in the story. Dad is making a connection between the story and like a real life example.
That's so interesting.
So interesting, right? Another interesting one is around play. So if mom and dad were to conduct the same activity in play with a child, the brain stimulation for the child when dad plays is higher than mom, because dads just play harder. They play more playful. They're goofy. They're like, so the pleasure receptors in the brain, more goes off in a child that is, playing with dad than playing with mom. And so again, like I told my wife that, she's like, great, I hate playing with
right. No, literally.
And it's so funny though, because she's like, why can't I play with the kids? Like I just don't enjoy it.
I think it just speaks to God's design of who we are. And people want to rail on Christians so much for advocating for a man and wife and a mother and father together as God's original design, and their roles as a husband and a wife and a man and a woman. But like stuff like this just keeps going back to, it's just how we were designed to complement each other in our roles for the sake of our children, for the sake of continued health in humanity.
Yeah. No, 100%.
And one of the biggest ones is women are nurturers by nature, and men will encourage risk. No, calculated risk, right? But they'll encourage risk more in their children. So to be able to engage in risk, what happens is you fail a lot more. So in a mother's care, mother is trying to nurture and keep safe, right? And so that brings a whole litany of good things,
right?
In terms of like safety and like developing positive neural pathways about felt needs being met, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Dads will then try to push the envelope with the kids. And then what that teaches them is I can fail forward.
Yeah.
I need to learn how to have grit, right?
Mhm.
Like the staying power, overcoming obstacles. So to your point, Lainey, it's not a one is better than the other.
Mhm.
It is both are needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not sitting there saying dad's rule, mom's rule.
No,
It's
not that. Not
not
that. I mean, I might say that, but I don't really mean it.
dad gang.
Yeah, that's good.
So, do you have any stories, or can you tell us? Because I'm fascinated by you working with biological fathers and helping them reunify with their children.
Mhm.
So, give us some stories, if you can, respecting confidentiality,
Yeah.
of a father you have seen who's been successful. Like, he did the thing,
Yeah.
he got his kid back, and the impact that had on him and his child.
In their future, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, let me start general and I'll go specific. So in general, there's obstacles that we're constantly trying to overcome, which would be transportation,
Mhm.
it is housing, and it is job. We call those the big three.
Mhm.
Then wrapped up into those, you have substance abuse, which is a lot of times a lot of it. And then you maybe have some mental, kind of health or whatever the case may be. But a lot of times it's around the financial provision.
And so those are the things that are preventing reunification with child and father.
Correct. Let's say, and just, I know you guys talked about it before, but, CPS is called Child Protective Services. What do we call it here in Florida? We call it CPS.
Yeah. Child,
CPS,
yeah.
So that agency is called, there's a report, they go out and check it out. And essentially then you have more and more it's being a social worker
Mhm.
instead of like a police officer, because a police officer is going to generally remove because of safety.
Right.
Like they're going to err on that side. Now with social workers going out, it's kind of like, no, we think that the child can stay in the home, but we need to put these measures in place.
Mhm.
So we'll work with that dad. Or if the dad has, let's say, like here's a common one. Dad is just trying to make ends meet.
Mhm.
Mom is working, or maybe mom's not in the picture, and he's working 2 jobs or 3 jobs to try to make ends meet. And he can't find anybody to watch his kid.
Yeah.
They're 2 years old, and he knows, well, I've got an hour here where they just got to fend for themselves. And so he's not a bad dad,
Right.
he just didn't have the resources
Right.
that he needed. So so that's sometimes what will happen. And if he can't financially provide, what happens? He loses his home.
Yeah.
So like in one particular case, and actually his name's Richard. He doesn't care if we tell the story, but he was addicted to drugs.
Mhm.
And so mom was out of the picture. And so it became his sole responsibility.
Mhm.
Well, you're not giving kids back to a guy who's addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, ultimately, and what had happened is he lost his home
Mhm.
because he was spending money on his drug habit.
Mm.
So instead of paying his bills, he was feeding his drug habit. And that's kind of right. Like, so whatever void he was trying to fill, right, ended up living in the woods.
Mm.
That's where his kids. So they lived
With
in the
his
woods
kids.
with his kids
Mhm.
in the woods.
Yeah.
And even at that time, he's like, it got worse because like if I did get money, I just spent it on drugs.
Yeah.
And I would steal diapers. I would steal formula. That's how I would do it. Well, ultimately, he got reported. Kids got taken away.
Mhm.
And so, in the process of doing the drug court, the drug rehabilitation, he was introduced to ManUp. So, judge said, I think that you should get in contact with these guys.
Mm.
And so,
Does that happen often?
yeah. So we get a lot of our referrals from judges
Okay.
because when a father shows up, now that the word is out about what we do, they're like, you need to talk to ManUp.
Good.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
And we take a very trauma informed kind of response. We're all about the relationship. We don't we'll do like minor financial counseling, or we'll do minor like when I say drug counseling, we might like encourage them, in that area, but we're not actually doing the therapy sessions.
The professionals.
They're at the professional.
You're pointing them right.
What we will do is get them there.
Yeah.
I'm going to call. So our guys are like, so this is exactly what happened is our guys calling up Richard going, hey, you've got drug screening. Well, I can't get there. Why can't you get there? Well, I have to work. Well, let me talk to your boss.
Yeah.
Oh, you would do that? Yeah. Let me talk to him. Well, I don't have a car to get there. I'll pay for your Uber. Those are the kind of things that we do.
Taking down
It's
every
like,
barrier.
I'm going to take down every barrier possible because if you want your kid, now, if you don't want your kid, that'll show itself too. But if you do, we're going to remove those barriers.
Yeah.
That's what we do. So anyhow, through a, over a year process, Richard was able to get clean. He now sponsors other men. He leads the AA group.
That's amazing.
At his church.
That's
And it's just like one of those like feel good stories. And for us, we have a lot of those stories.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of stories just like that. And I think, the public, they would look at, I think a lot of times they think, well, if they were removed, if kids were removed, then there's a big reason and we shouldn't put those kids back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes that is true.
Yeah. Agreed.
Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Very much so. Yeah.
So I think like keeping an open mind, we're just reading today in James as a team and talked about like mercy triumphs over judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a sense in which like, yeah, well, what if God judged me in the manner that I deserve?
What's what we talked about. We talked about this in multiple episodes. Episodes of like, first of all, reunification is the greatest thing. Reconciliation and parents getting right with their kids is the best thing. It's the best thing. So even in Richard's case, what would you say, or maybe he voiced it. I don't know if he voiced it. I don't know Richard at all. So having somebody in an organization in his corner for encouragement and accountability to step up and man up, if you will, and to do the God-given responsibilities. How did that make him feel to know that there was such a safety net and support there?
I mean, exactly as you imagine, like $1 million.
Yeah.
He's not the only one, but his story, he makes the comment, I know that I could call, Josh was our guy working with him, but he's like, I could call Josh or anybody else from ManUp because he'd been around the organization, come to different events, different peer-to-peer mentoring opportunities. I know that those guys over there, they care.
Mm-hmm.
And what is often talked about with our fathers is the brotherhood that they experience. Mm-hmm. Because most men, I'll drop a Henry David Thoreau quote here. Please. Most men live lives of quiet desperation. Mm-hmm. And men know how to isolate, I think more so than women. I think women do too, but I think men are really good at isolating. And we think that we have to bear the burden on our own. We think that culture says, despite their cries against our toxic masculinity, we're still trying to handle it.
Sure.
And we're just not man enough to admit. They're like man enough to admit that we can't do it. And so we'll retreat instead of ask for help. Mm-hmm. And I think what our guys have seen is there is a true brotherhood here. Mm-hmm. And I want to be a part of it. So that was
there too. That you might not even know that you have.
Yes.
Might not even know you have.
And we're trying to invite all those guys in. Like we want them in. So now it's like when we have a team meetings, sometimes like some of our dads will show up.
Oh, that's cool.
And we're just like, yeah, come on in. Oh my God. Be a part of, like, it's like James 2 about the favoritism where it's like, you're not dressed nicely. Why don't you sit on the floor right there? That doesn't exist in our organization. Mm-hmm. We view everybody as the same, including us. We're not here trying to help you. We're trying to walk with you. Mm-hmm. And we genuinely mean that. It's not like a platitude that we say. So I think that's what guys are most excited about is that component.
Now, for the cynics in the room.
Are you raising your hand?
Who always think of the other side. These
contrarian.
You have seen, obviously, you have seen so many positive stories, and that is to be celebrated. Now I'm thinking of the families who don't get those positive stories. I'm thinking of the kids whose dads don't go through your program, the single moms who are trying to raise their children, the single foster moms or adoptive moms who are stepping in, who have done a huge sacrifice in saying, not only do I not have a man, but I'm going to raise children that weren't even born to me. In my home. Yeah. So what is your answer to those moms and those children specifically? What is the answer to those children on how we can step in the gap, and we being people who feel stirred by this, whether that's the church or whoever's listening, How do we step into the gap? Because we can't force dads to be dads, but how do we help these children find better outcomes? Because I don't want to just throw our hands up and go, oh, well, I mean, they're a lost cause. They're on the incarceration pipeline, I guess, because they don't have a dad. So what do we do?
Yeah, great question. And I will say that it's hard. This is a hard question that you've asked.
Yeah.
There was a study done, I think one of the first studies of a group in Maryland, and they wanted to test, is a father figure as effective as a father
What's the difference there?
in parenting? So a father figure being someone who is not the biological father, but who has stepped in, whether it's a stepdad or a mentor or whatever. And what they found is in this certain pocket, a poor community in Baltimore, that it actually the father figures actually outperformed
Really?
the dads.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like another indictment on in America, right?
Well, I think sometimes it's like when you don't, like when you're not doing a thing, you kind of don't know what it means to not have it, if that makes sense. So it's like when you don't have if you have a dad, you don't know what it means to be fatherless.
Sure.
When you don't have a dad, you know what it means like. And so when someone shows an interest,
Steps in.
it's almost like you're more gravitated towards it because you get out.
Mhm.
And I think that probably holds true here. It's the same reason why, like, this is interesting, like church attendance. So if mom and dad take their kids to church, there's X amount of percentage that those kids will do it when they're older.
Sure.
It's significantly lower if it's just mom, like significantly lower. If it's just dad taking the kids, it's actually higher than if the parent.
Then if both
parents.
together.
Does it bother you that Jeff smiles after every one of the statistics he gives? I'm just messing with you.
I just
See men rock.
it's just an interesting thing. I always feel like I have to apologize to women because I'm bringing up statistics that like show the importance of a dad or father figure, you know, in the situation. And it's like, you know, I'm sure this has never happened to you, Matt, where if Lainey's home, taking care of the kids, she's been with them all day, running them here, cooking dinner, doing all this, and then you come home and they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're here."
It's like the greatest thing in the entire world. Yeah.
And like my kids would run up to me, and my wife is looking at me like, "Die, leave." Yeah.
Step outside the house and go.
Like, like he's like, "You got to be kidding me! You've been gone all day,
Right.
and yet you get a king's welcome when you come home. You don't even do anything.
Yeah.
Just walk in the door."
Well, we've had conversations where we have been through seasons where we've said, I am not dishing out a single consequence in this household. All punishment and discipline
I suck at
and
consequences.
is going to come from you.
I'll forget that I give them to. It's like 2 days later. Like you said that you were supposed to. I was like,
Something would happen, you know, and then we're going about it, and I'll look at him like, bedroom, right? So we go in the bedroom and I'm like, this is the consequence. Okay. This is going to be, and then he would walk back. All right, this is going to be your consequence, because I'm like, I cannot constantly have the negative interaction.
right.
You don't get to be the fun parent all the time.
No,
like I am going to be the fun parent sometimes.
We feel that. Let's go back. Sorry, we digressed again. Going back to that question though, of you asking, you know, how do we provide those male figures or
like how do you step into the gap?
How do you step into the gap? That's the big question.
Yes, I think it's, first of all, most men are going to do it because of just whatever stage at they're in life. And when you have other kids, you know, it is tough, right? Like you're trying to raise your kids, you're trying to, you know, be a husband, all of that kind of stuff. And to me, it's an issue of priority. What is your priority, right? Like, do you believe that God is a father to the fatherless?
Yeah.
If you believe that. And if you believe that pure religion is taking care of orphans, if you believe that God sets the lonely in families, if you believe all of these other scriptures about God caring for the poor, the oppressed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then it's kind of like, you got to do something here, people. You have to do something. Like if you call yourself a Christian, you have to do something about the fatherless issue. Now, what that is between you and God. But that you would do it is not up for debate. It's really not. So if you've got money, then give money. If you've got time, then give your time. And same thing, obviously, with the treasure. So I would say, you know, at least for us, we try to offer differing levels of engagement. Kind of the lower entry point is not that it's any less important, but it does take less time, which is you could help a foster family.
Yeah.
You guys have care teams at church. essentially that's what we have: care teams that wrap around individual foster families, provide them meals, provide them prayer support, help them get kids from to and fro, maybe provide respite on a for 4 hours so they go on a date. There are tons of things you guys talk about a lot on this podcast that someone can do for a foster family. I remember one time we were with a female single mom foster parent, which are like about 25% of our families that we care for are like that. And I remember the dudes were all out building the place and laying molds and, doing all this. And she was squatting down talking to her foster child. And I went over because I just wanted to hear her. And I could ask, what did you tell him? And she's like, well, I just told him, like, that's an example of what a man should be. I was just, I immediately got weepy just thinking about that. But like, dads going and men going and building a swing set for a single mom who's fostering kids. Yeah, that's something that you can do. Use, like, you have to be in front of a camera. You don't have to like have a special talent. Can you follow some instructions?
Right.
Yeah, maybe buy a couple of tools. So now on the harder end is that being that father figure in a more consistent way.
Yeah.
That's obviously harder. For us, that looks like in a group home setting, we're there every week for a dinner. So that's how we kind of like introduce it. Hey, why don't you just come and hang out for a dinner? Like, you can be the pizza boy, just serving pizza and kind of watch and see how our team or other volunteers who are more seasoned interact. And then over time, we just pray there's a natural connection with the kid in that group home. And so not every week that kid. So like when we first start going to a group home, nobody wants to talk to us, maybe like one or two, because they've seen somebody come and go. Now, when we're in there, like, they're waiting on the front lawn for us to get it. Tuesday night, 5:30, where's ManUp, guys? Yeah. Right?
It's the consistency.
So that's why I'm like really big on, if you're not going to be consistent, don't do it. Don't get engaged in the mentoring capacity. Now, if you want to check it out, you can check it out. But as soon as you are committed, you're like, for life.
Yeah.
Like that just became your commitment for life. And a lot of times that child, well, I've got several that I have mentored through the years. I got one that is just recently resurfaced again. They come and go. These kids are used to transient things. So you got to be there for them when you can. So I think, like, how do we get engaged? Well, you have to have the desire. And if you have the desire, there are entities like ManUp who want to connect you. And so that's what we do. Now the church, it's easy to like bang on the church, and I don't want to do that. But every church should have some kind of mentoring or disciple. Like, the goal of the church is to disciple, right? That's what Jesus commissioned, disciple. Yep. So the church should have some kind of discipleship component. And so you can even do that in your church with a single mom. Like, hey, a single mom in your church, ask if she wants help with the kid. Yeah. And like, don't be weird about it if you're married or whatever. You're not going over there alone, but like, hey, how can I take that kid? What are the things that we can do, whatever the case may be? And there's trainings that need to take place. Like, I'm obviously big on trainings. We need to be careful. Yeah. There's, I won't go down that road.
Yeah. Safety is a priority. Yes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just in my time in student ministry, the amount of single moms that would come up to me and just say, hey, I just need a man. Like, he needs a man in his life. He needs somebody to like show what a man like actually is, and like I can only do so much. And it's what you said, like I feel like there should be some sort of program in a church that can connect and do those things as well. So that's what's well said. Well said.
Yeah.
How, if someone were watching this, they're like, hey, I want to get involved with an organization like ManUp. Talk about ManUp specifically. How can somebody who's watching this get connected with you and your organization?
So it's funny. We had this conversation this morning at our team meeting.
Is there not a way?
No, there is. No, there totally is a way. I was like, I don't know what is so hard about people going on the website. We have a tab that says "Get Involved."
Listen, an obstacle. That's an obstacle.
People are averse to going on websites.
You click on "Get Involved," and then we have a list of all of these opportunities to serve. So for us now, if you're in an area where we don't currently exist, we did develop a resource called Patros. And Patros is a discipleship tool for men and men in the church and for churches to do this exact thing. Connect men to some, we call it fighting for the fatherless. Like, How can I do that? How can I mentor? How can I support? What can I do? And so we have resources there. It's you can get a free membership at patros.us or manupandgo.org/patros. Create your free account. And then literally, if you want us to contact you, we have guys on our team. Their whole job is discipling the church and connecting the church to resources that can help their church, their men's group, their whatever, do something in their local area. So, we're based in Tampa. We have cohorts in Springfield, Missouri, and Kansas City, Missouri. We're doing a lot of work in Ohio right now. I was on with the governor's office in state of Oklahoma. Like, cool things, right? Like that we're chatting about, and fatherhood initiatives are like really coming to the forefront in a lot of these places. So that's why, even though we don't have people on the ground in some of these states, we have the resources that from afar we can equip your church.
Yeah.
Love that. So anybody anywhere in the United States can do the Patros thing and with their church group or with a small group or whatever, and start answering that question.
They can start answering that question.
Context.
Yep. Yeah. We have curriculum that you can order. That's the only thing that costs. Like, we'll send you a book, or there's free like downloadables that kind of walk you through. We provide stats around fatherlessness, different quotes that kind of illuminate the problem, but then also what is the solution. And here are examples of things that you can do in your community. Right? So one quick one would be pregnancy centers everywhere. I don't care where you live, there's a pregnancy center within probably 5 or 10 miles. And so if you just look up what that pregnancy center is, a lot of those now have fatherhood programs. So you could contact and say, hey, when you have dads that come into the place, how do you serve them? Well, we make them do da, 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 da. Can I be a part of that? They will, like, first of all, their jaw will be on the floor. I will pay you to be a part of this.
Right.
My jaw would be on the floor. Right. Contact me. I want to do X, Y, Z, right?
Yeah.
So like, that's one example, but there are like, dozens where that came from.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
very cool. Well, this conversation could go on forever because fatherlessness is a crisis to be solved. But we don't have forever, unfortunately. We should do a lot of streams. Yeah. So thank you for joining us. This has been enlightening. I've learned a lot for sure. Even about a space that I think we are pretty familiar about, but there's always more to learn. That's such a huge takeaway. There's always more to learn and always more to do. And I think your organization is a great resource. So we will plug the website and those links and all the things that you mentioned in the show notes for people and our viewers to see. But
if you liked conversations like this, we encourage you to like and subscribe to our stuff as well. And this has been the Unprofessional Parenting Podcast with Matt
and Lainey
and Jeff, and we'll see you next time.